So just like there is sickness and mental illness in the diet and fitness industry, there is also sickness in the manifesting body changes culture. For us humans, we've inherited a long lineage of not knowing how to healthfully relate to our bodies. So I am making this video today not because you can't manifest really drastic and awesome body changes, but because I want you to do it properly. I want you to do it healthfully, and I want you to see the full spectrum of what's even causing this need for body changes to begin with. Manifesting changes in your body is a really popular topic, of course. So you and I need to be really clear and discerning on how to do it properly so that we don't make our mental health worse and then also manifest a worsening of our bodies. So we're gonna get deep into this today. Before we get into it, I will introduce myself to any of you who might not know me yet. Maybe you just clicked on this, you're like, what the heck is this? I am Genevieve. I'm a manifestation coach, and on this channel, I teach you the deeper nuances of manifestation. My goal as your teacher is to help fill in the gaps on all the other manifestation stuff you've learned, but you've still got questions about this thing and this thing. I am the person that you've now manifested to help fill in those gaps. And if you like me as a coach, there are ways to work with me. I have links below, but I will say that I had to temporarily shut down my calendar for private coaching because it was just going too crazy. We were getting way too booked out, way too far in the future. So I shut the whole thing down. No one can book a one-on-one session, but this is temporary. It will be back up, hopefully in a couple weeks. I'm gonna have a new system and it's gonna be good. I'm also gonna have group coaching at some point. So in the meantime, instead of doing private coaching with me, I highly encourage you to do one of the amazing courses down below, or you can join the membership portion of this channel. There is a tier on the membership portion where you can email me your personal questions once a month and I will send you a voice recorded answer. Like it basically is private coaching, but via email. So that's definitely an option if the private coaching isn't for you, because we're booked. And as always, you are never required to buy anything from me. I take pride in giving you a lot of really good free stuff here. So if you just want to enjoy the free stuff that I give you, there's a lot of value in these videos. So I just highly encourage you just to keep watching, and let's get into this topic today. So first of all, I want to say that this video is going to primarily focus on changing your physical form. I'm not going to be focusing so much on health in terms of like healing your diseases or your syndromes, although everything I say does apply to that. Well, honestly, everything always applies to everything, but I just want to give you the footnote here at the beginning that this is going to be mainly focused on body changes. That means you want a different nose, you want to lose 50 pounds, you want to have a different body shape, like where you are aesthetically focused on changing an aesthetic of your body. But again, everything applies to everything. It's just that those are the examples I'm going to be focusing on in this video. So here's the first thing. If there's only one thing you take away from this video, it is what I'm about to say. Before you even ask the question of how do I manifest losing weight or how do I manifest a different face, before you even ask that how question, you need to get deeper and ask yourself, why do I think I need to change this? Because the answers that your body will give you in your questioning of why are going to be extremely telling of the state that this desire for change is coming from. If you deeply reflect on why do I want to lose 50 pounds, sure, there might be a little bit of you that's like, oh, I just want to be healthy and I've heard that being overweight's unhealthy. But I guarantee that like 90% of your desire to lose weight or have a different nose or whatever the heck it is coming from shame. It's coming from a shame identity that you are holding as dominant in your state of being. Why do you want a different nose? Because the nose I have now is hideous. Every time I look at myself in the mirror, I just cringe at my nose. You have trained your consciousness to perceive your nose or whatever it is through the lens of shame, the filter of shame, the state of shame. If you literally can't even stand looking at yourself in the mirror without thinking some negative judgmental thought of yourself, you are in a state of being that is primarily ruled by shame. Why is this important? Well, the state of shame never manifests anything other than more shame. Every state of being that you can enter into just begets more of itself. They're all self-propelling. They're all self-going. So you can't shame yourself into a different nose. You can't shame yourself into maintaining an amazingly hot body that you love. It's impossible to hate yourself enough into a healthy body. And so I'm starting with this and putting a lot of emphasis on this because a lot of you are not being self-reflective and self-honest enough to ask that, why do I want this, before you jump to the anxious, well, how do I change it? A lot of you, when it comes to manifestation, is just you jump straight to the how. You just want to Google, you want to YouTube, how do I get this? How do I get that? How do I change myself? But a lot of the time, that urgency and that anxiety to change something about yourself or about your life is coming from a bad state that you shouldn't be acting from. If you're asking, how do I change my body from the state of shame? The answer to that how is either going to be very superficial and just support the shame you're already in, or the answer to that how isn't going to land on you, because when you're in a deep state of shame, it's hard to hear the truth, because maybe you're vibrating, if you want to use that word, you're vibrating in your consciousness so far away from the truth you need to hear that you can't even hear the truth when it's trying to be told to you. So before you ask the question, how do I change my body? You really need to ask yourself, why do I want it to change? And really do an inventory. Write down all the statements that come to mind that are reflecting your old story, that are reflecting that old conditioning that you absorbed and you really took on as your story. Write down all the hate about your nose or all the judgments about your body. It can actually be extremely healthy and helpful to purge out this old story. This is why I often encourage my clients to do inventories, especially if you are not super clear on what your old story is. Or maybe you kind of vaguely know it, but you haven't super strongly identified what's the real trigger of that old story. Because if you just go straight to Googling, how do I manifest a different nose, you will get answers, quote unquote. But what I see almost all of my clients do, especially when it comes to manifesting body changes, is they are attempting those techniques. They get the affirmations for, oh, just affirm this if you want to have body changes. So they have that affirmation and they're saying it, they're doing the work, but they are never getting out of that state of shame. It's like the state of shame has hijacked your manifestation. If you are affirming, I have a beautiful nose, I have a small nose, I've lost 50 pounds, or whatever, you're affirming that, but it's coming from this, I do not accept myself. I will not accept myself until my nose is different. I will not accept myself until I've lost a bunch of weight. Because that's how a shame state thinks. Shame lies to you and tells you, you can't be happy until you have this. You can't be fulfilled until you have this different body or have this different nose or whatever it is. And the more you believe that lie that's back in the back of your subconscious mind that tells you, yep, you won't be happy until you have this. So just keep affirming, and then maybe it'll happen. And then once it magically happens, then you'll be happy. If you believe that lie, you are staying in the state of shame. And the state of shame never manifests fulfillment. It tricks you into thinking that that's how you'll eventually get fulfillment, but it's never going to get you there. Your shame, that conditioning of shame, is lying to you. And the more you agree to it, the more you consciously believe, oh yeah, that sounds true. It sounds true that I probably won't be successful until I have a different face. Yeah, it's true that I probably won't be happy or find love until I lose 20 pounds. If you agree to what that shame is telling you, that's your state. Because remember, your state of being, the actual thing that manifests, is whatever you're genuinely agreeing to, whatever you're genuinely thinking, oh yeah, that is true. What you allow your consciousness to agree to becomes your manifestation. And that's why you can be affirming for years about anything, not just body changes, but affirming for anything. You can be doing it for years, but if you're not really believing that you are fulfilled now, you do have it now, you are satisfied now, if you're not really accepting that, then you're not really shifting states. You're not really going from shame to fulfillment. You're not really going from shame to confidence. You're just staying in shame and allowing shame to hijack your whole manifesting thing you're trying to do. If I've said it once, I've said it a million times. It is not the technique that ever manifests. It is the effect we allow the technique to have on us. So if I am saying that right now I have a really healthy, fit body. Or I'm being even more specific and I'm saying right now I weigh 130 pounds. Obviously I'm in America and we say that. I'm not saying that I have a fit and healthy body and I weigh 130 pounds. I'm not saying that in hopes of getting it in the future. I'm saying that to be like, I really have that right now. Like, I feel so much relief that I just finally have it. I can just stop worrying about it. I just have it right now. And as Neville says, you have to die to your senses. Even if you get on the scale after you just affirmed, whatever particular weight that you would like to have. Even if you get on the scale and it says you're 150, that is a dead reality. Remember that the 3D is always behind you. But even saying that, I don't like. It's like I don't even have the language to really explain just how dead the 3D is. Because even saying that it's behind you is giving it some credit. Like, yeah, it will catch up to you. It is in the future a little bit. No, it is not. The manifestation is not in the 3D at all. So if you are looking in the mirror or you're going to your scale and you're looking in that mirror and you're like, oh my God, my nose is still whatever it is. I've been affirming for 2 weeks that it's amazing, but oh my gosh, my nose is still really ugly today. You've just decided that the 3D in the old story, your old conditioning, is way more alive to you than what you had decided was true. Every time we look in the mirror, and the 3D itself, by the way, just is a mirror. That's all it is. But I'm saying when we look in a physical mirror in the physical 3D, when we look in a mirror and go back to that judgmental, conditioned, shameful evaluation of ourselves, we are saying, yep, I'm not fulfilled. I'm not it. That relief I felt when I said that I do have this, well, that was wrong, because I just looked in the mirror and now I've decided that this thing in the mirror, in terms of the way I'm judging it, this lens of shame I'm seeing right now, this is more real to me, more important to me than the thing I said before about being already there. You have to just accept that right now you are beautiful. There is deep, deep self-acceptance that is needed for body changes. Of course, this also applies to everything, but especially the topic of body changes, because as we talked about, your desire for a body change to begin with is coming from shame. It's coming from something you inherited from this world that told you you're not good enough. You need to live up to a different standard. Your physicality isn't the norm, or it isn't good enough. So you're just, not good. You internalized that worldly conditioning that was trying to be passed down to you, and you cannot keep looking at yourself through the lens of that old shame and hate and judgment that was never yours to begin with. I'm using the word inherited very strategically here. The ideas about your nose or your weight or the color of your skin or whatever it is, those ideas were someone else's shame hundreds of years ago probably. But the way consciousness works is one person gets dominant in a state, they start manifesting the other people around them to go into that state, and then whoa, we've got this collective consciousness of shame. But you can change that. You change it by radically self-accepting, by deciding, you know what, fuck all the old stories. I'm not gonna look in the mirror anymore and look at my nose and decide that it's ugly. That was someone else's idea that someone tried to shove down my throat. I internalized that bullshit, and that was not supposed to happen. Now, I'm a conscious manifester, and I decide what's true about me, and right now I'm deciding that my nose, it is amazing. It is perfect. It is the nose I've always wanted. And I know so many of you on the other side of the screen are thinking, oh, well, if I accept it, then it'll never change. Again, that's your shame rationalizing. Your shame has conditioned you to think that if you accept yourself as is, then you're gonna like really fail. You'll just become even worse. You'll just gain even more weight. You'll just get even uglier if you accept yourself as is. Your shame tells you that you're delusional to think that you're perfect right now. The only true delusions in manifestation are the delusions that come from ego shame. And it is your job as a conscious manifester to see that bullshit for what it is. You cannot keep agreeing to the rationales that shame is trying to keep you conditioned in. So when shame tells you, oh, it's dangerous to agree that right now you're perfect, because if you do that, you're really screwed. That is a lie. That is a huge freaking lie. Because you know, as a manifester, when we accept oh, this is true about me. Oh, I am gorgeous. Oh, I am a super fit, healthy person. Oh, I do weigh 130 pounds, or I do have this amazing nose. When you just decide that's true, and not a single thing in this 3D reality can tell you different. When you decide who you are, when you've said, this is who I am, I don't care what the mirror looks like, I don't care what the scale says, I don't care what anyone else in their weird conditioning out here says, I've decided that this is who I am. And when I affirm that I have this body, that's it. There's no discussion about it. It's that I have it now. And nothing can tell me otherwise. The mirror can't tell me otherwise. The 3D, nothing. I've decided it. I'm the top dog. I'm the one with God consciousness. So whatever I've decided that I have right now is what is. This is how we manifest everything. This is why we say, ignore the 3D and the 3D doesn't matter. This is the real reason, because we are deciding that we are going to be internally validating now. We're going to trust our God instincts about who we are and what's meant for us. We are done deferring to external validation. That's what we used to do before we became conscious manifestor. We were constantly looking for the outside to prove to us first that we could have something before we believed we had it. And what's so funny is that so often the 3D will try to tell you, oh yeah, you actually kind of do have this. And when you're in that consciousness of shame, you will never accept that you already have it. And that's why nothing changes for you. You're not accepting that you just have it right now. There's nothing to strive for. The external reality is dead. It's just a mirror. We don't need validation from it. But as you know, because I say it a lot, the paradox is that the 3D will validate you once you're done needing its validation. You really need to embrace that paradox as a manifestor. I know that's sometimes the toughest one to embrace, but you genuinely need to stop looking for proof that what you've decided is true. The more you're still in that state of looking for it to happen and looking for proof and needing signs and needing confirmation and needing validation from the 3D, the more you are in that, the more you are keeping yourself stuck in the same old state. We manifest because we make a decision and we stick to it with our God state internal validation abilities. And these abilities are powerful. This is why manifestation works, because whatever you decide, genuinely decide is true about you, becomes true about you internally and externally. But it has to get rooted internally first, to the point that it starts to feel natural to you. Your self-acceptance, your body acceptance, it feels natural to you. The shame feels ick to you. It doesn't feel natural to you. It feels like, oh yeah, that's someone else's story and that was crazy. The self-empowerment, the self-love, the knowing that right now, oh my God, I am the sexiest me I've ever been, or I'm the youngest me I've ever been, or whatever it is that you want to say about yourself, about your experience of yourself and your claiming of your identity of yourself. When you really get it, that you just have to stick to it's already happened. It's already here. You already are that. And there's no shame about it. There's no waiting for it to be proven to you in the future. You just are it right now. When you really get that, that is when everything clicks so quickly. Really check yourself if you're still trying to manifest body changes from a state of shame. If you're still in that shame and you're judging these parts of you that you're trying to change, they're not going to change. Because you're not changing. You're deciding that you're still ugly, that you still have a crappy nose, that all this stuff. And if you keep looking at yourself and identifying with yourself in that shameful way, then that's what you're gonna manifest. That's why you're not seeing any changes. That's why you can affirm a million times that you've got an amazing nose and body, but it just doesn't change. Because if you're not really believing that that's true right now, really just practicing accepting it with some relief, then it's not really yours because you haven't claimed it as yours. So let me know your thoughts and feelings and questions and all of that in the comments below. Also, I always like to ask if you have questions or topics for other videos. I just like to see what is the temperature out there with you guys in terms of what you need, and I will try to talk about that in future videos if I think it's a topic that like a lot of people need to be hearing about. I am so glad that you are here today. I just know that this landed on you in a deeper way that you really needed. We are done with other people's conditioning that we've internalized. So I'm proud of you for being here. I'm proud of you for finally getting that on a deeper level. And you have got this, and I will see you in my next video. All right, bye.